Hey everyone, this is Steve Post with Wing Nation, and welcome to the Post Office, where we sit down and talk with some fascinating folks from the sprint car world. Really enjoying this opportunity. And today, one of my favorites, Calvin Knapp, longtime crew member on the Don Kreitz Racing number 69K. You know that dream team up there with Donald and Davey and Lance Deweese? Well, Calvin is the other portion of that, and that's who we're chatting with here on the Post Office. And we even have some of your questions coming up to Mr. Calvin Knapp as well. So we're going to get to that conversation in just a moment. But race fans, you probably are tired of car insurance ads with like talking animals or mascots. At Root Insurance, they do car insurance differently. Their app gives you a smarter rate where your actual driving is the number one factor. Good drivers save money up to $900 a year, and that's not too shabby. So maybe you'll miss those talking critters, but Root Insurance doesn't need a mascot to save you money. Root, for good drivers. Over 1.5 million drivers insured. Download the Root app today. Stay with us. Calvin Knapp joins us next. Sage Fruit is a high-quality grower, packer, and shipper of Washington State apples, cherries, and pears. Sage Fruit has a long-term partnership with Tony Stewart Racing, driver Donnie Schatz, and with us here at Wing Nation. Sage always works hard to deliver an exceptional eating experience. Now, you can find your local grocery store that has Sage Fruit. Just go to sagefruit.com and look at the store locator. Punch in your zip code and find your local Sage Fruit store. Or if there's none in your area, make sure you ask your grocer for Sage Fruit. Sage Fruit, always an exceptional eating experience. Welcome back to the Post Office, and we welcome into the Post Office one of the really good guys in the sport. Calvin Knapp is here. Hello, Calvin. Welcome to the Post Office.
Hi, Steve. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Great. You know, Calvin, I was trying to think about this. I think the first time I hung out with you, we might have met before this, but I think the first time I hung out with you was a hamburger eating contest at Jake's Wayback Burgers. Is that right?
I think that is correct.
I think so too. They were doing some stuff with the Sprint Speed Week up there, and they had a hamburger eating contest. And well, you and I, we're not shy of food eating contests.
If I remember correctly, Darren Pittman kicked everyone's butt. So
yeah,
I think
that surprised me that Darren Pittman was the winner of that for sure.
Yep, it's always the skinny guys that can do it, right?
It is puts us big hearty eaters to shame. That's for sure.
That's right.
So it is cool. It is cool. We had Lance Deweese on this week on our Wing Nation show on Tuesday. So we kind of recapped everything from his perspective. But how good, Calvin, as a longtime crew member on the Kreitz number 69K, how good was it for you personally to get back to the track and then actually to make a trip to Victory Lane this past weekend at the Speed Palace?
It's always good to get back to the track, especially after missing Volusia. My wife and I, we usually go to Volusia to get out of the cold, and we had to miss that because of the birth of our new grandson at any time. So the ones in PA just had to work this year. And as far as getting back to Victory Lane, that's always fun for me and the whole team. We all enjoy it.
No doubt, that's for sure. Calvin, how did you get involved with Don Kreitz Racing? Where did this all begin for you?
My buddy and myself, we used to go to the races all the time, just him and I. And we followed Donald our whole careers, basically, and used to go down to the infield at Williams Grove and talk to them and his mother especially, and ask him where he was going the next weekend and where he was racing next. And his mother stopped us one day and said, "You boys, you always ask about Donald and this and that, and would you guys like to help him?" And of course, like young boys, like, oh, that's like a dream come true. So, and since 1997, I've been with him, so it's been nothing but fun.
Oh my gosh, talk about, because prior to this, you're a race fan. That's your role in the sport, and race fans are the most important person in the sport.
Yep.
But you are just race fan who gets to work on your hero's race car.
Yep. We were a Donald fan for as long as we can remember. And his mom stopped us one Friday and said, would you guys be interested in helping Donald? He's short of help. And the rest, they say, is history.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. What did you do?
20,
What'd you start working on that car right when you first started helping along with Donald on that?
we just basically were mud scrapers, odds and ends, whatever needed done in the trailer, this and that, and just continued to grow since then.
I can't imagine the first few races, what that was like for you and your buddy to be on his crew.
It was a blast, to say the least.
And I would dare say yeah, I would dare say it still is.
It still is for me. For me, yep. And then back then, obviously, Donald used to travel a little more. We used to go with them to New York, and those trips were awesome when they ran New York. We used to enjoy that. We went to Dixie Speedway in Georgia. I remember that. We lost an all-star race because of a flat tire, and talk about big-time dejection. And it's, yeah, like I said, since 1997, I've been with him. So it's been a fun ride.
Well, the last few years have been a story in itself. When yeah. I mean, and I know you're a Donald guy. I mean, I understand that, but when Donald steps away, they come up with the idea to put Lance in the car, and the ride continues.
Yep. And before him, obviously, we had Justin Henderson for 2 races, where he was in for 2 races and finished second and third. And then after him, Ryan was in it and did a good job. And then Lance is in it now, and needless to say, this is going very well.
Really, truly is.
Yeah, the 2 races with Justin, you talk about a class act. And going from Justin to Lance, nothing has changed as far as being great guys, overall drivers, and great people. It's just amazing.
Yeah, you're right about that. Justin Henderson, boy, they just don't come any finer than him. Man, I'll tell you
what. And every time I go to a track and he's there, I make a point to go see him. And he's just a super guy.
Yeah. He's one of our favorites on Wing Nation.
Yeah,
because you could just get good. He just is just a good guy and gives you great insight into the sport. He really is.
Nope, he is. I had a little saying with getting him in the car, I guess you'd say, but yeah. Donald was texting me the one time. I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to race anymore. Who would you want to put in it? And just throwing some options out there. And I think he was, back at the time, I think one of his options was Danny Lasowski. Being Knoxville's done sooner than everyone else, we were thinking of the Knoxville guys, and he said Lasowski's name, and I threw, what about Justin Henderson? And just came along that we put Henderson in the car, and he did. Like I said, he ran second and third for us on 2 races.
Man, I knew the Ryan Smith thing. I was not, and I think we were just getting up and going with Wing Nation, and I missed that as far as that goes. Now, Calvin, we have a lot of fun with you over the course of time, and we have you every position, from the guy that holds up the jack to the guy that Donald and Davey rely on and Lance rely on for everything. Now, I'm fairly confident you're more than a jack holder, and no offense, I think you're probably not the guy that Donald and Davey rely on. What things do you work on with that car?
Well, this year I think my role expanded because, unfortunately, Leroy Schanauer had to back out because of his son got killed in the off season.
Oh.
So he dropped off the scene, kind of, sort of. So I'm the gear guy this year, the tire guy, whatever Davey needs. If he wants a spacer taken off, I'll be tightening the tires. And I think I also upgraded to fuel man this year. So I got a busy slate this year.
Boy, I'll tell you what, we're going to see fewer pictures of you holding up a jack than it looks like, so.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome.
And in the last 2 years, I actually became more of Davey's chauffeur. He is starting to ask for more rides to the racetrack, like to Port Royal and Selinsgrove. And at the track, he'll ask me if I'm going. I said, yep, I'm going. He said, do you mind if I would ride along with you? So you can add that to my list as well. He would never.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What is it like riding up and down the road with Davey Brown?
It's kind of funny. We talk. He talks about all kinds of motorsports. Obviously, and we listen to college football. He loves college football. Yeah, we listened to college football, and last Sunday I took him up to Port Royal and took him home. We listened to the NASCAR race, obviously, but when it's college football season, he's all about college football. Did you check the Penn State score? He'll ask me. It's like he's all about Penn State, you know.
Wow.
It's like we have a blast though. We keep ourselves entertained.
As a Penn State grad, I'm glad to hear that Davy Brown's on board with the program. I'm glad to hear that.
Yep.
I think about that, Calvin. One of the first times we went up to Port Royal, we were juggling air rides or rides from the Harrisburg Airport to Port Royal. And maybe one of the first times that we did our Wing Nation up there for the Weichert Memorial, they said, well, why don't you just jump in and ride with Bobby Davis Jr.? And I'm just like, huh? Riding with Bobby Davis, you know, and just that opportunity to ride with one of these heroes is what a thrill that's gotta be.
It's kind of cool, you know, in a sense. And it's like, before the last couple of years, Davey would never ask for help for anything. Lance would offer to take him somewhere. I would offer to nope, I'll be fine. And away he goes. But the last couple of years, he asked for a ride, not to the Grove or Susquehanna or Baps, I should say.
Yeah.
But when we go to like Port Royal and Sealands Grove, they're like an hour trip. He'll ask for a ride, and of course we oblige.
Yeah. I had the coolest scenario in maybe in a broadcaster's career, very similar to that. MRN was based in Daytona Beach, Florida. I was living here in the Charlotte area. It was before we moved as a company. We moved here to Charlotte, and Barney Hall, our iconic broadcaster, was here in the Charlotte area. And I'll never forget, MRN called me, David Hyatt called me and said, hey, I've got a proposition for you. I said, what's that? And he says, we're not sure. Barney doesn't necessarily want to travel alone. So what we're going to do, we're going to have you and him on a private charter out of Concord. You get the rental car, you and Barney go out to dinner on Thursday night, and then you riding back and forth to the track, and then you get him back to the airport and come back home with him. Well, first off, I mean, I got the charter plane instead of commercial, but those moments with Barney Hall, who we've lost now, I can imagine your moments with Davey are similar to those moments with Barney Hall, things that I'll cherish forever.
Yep, working with all three of those guys is just, you just sit back and listen to them talking to each other, and it's like, say Donald doesn't know what to do or Lance doesn't know what to do. Davey comes up with something that, let's try this. And I was like, I never thought of that. That's just a great idea. And it's like, you just don't believe how sharp the guy is for 88 years old. Still gets on his hands and knees to do his adjustments, and it's crazy.
Yeah. I always say when he breaks out that tape measure, someone's getting ready to finish second.
That's right.
I mean, and he does, and you see him, he gets on his hands and knees with that tape measure and is up under the car, and it's like, oh boy, someone's fixing to get their butt handed to him tonight. Man.
I was in back of the car Sunday at Port Royal getting ready to do the fuel, and Fred Raymer stopped over. He said, are you back again? I just had to let Davey's like, yeah, I'm week by week. You know how that goes.
Yeah, Davey.
Fred always has fun with him.
That's cool. That is really, really neat. Fun stuff. That is for sure.
Yep.
I want to go a little bit off the racetrack. We're still sticking in the racing business. My understanding is, and I know part of this, when you grew up, what was it? I think someone used to take you to the Reading Fairgrounds as a kid.
My pap and I used to go to, there's a kind of a funny story. I used to stay at their house on the weekends, and we used to go to church almost every Sunday. My grandma drove separate. Me and my pap drove separate. She went home after church, and we went to the Reading Fairgrounds and watched modifieds.
My God.
And then after that, I think the first sprint car track he took me to was Susquehanna back in the time to watch sprint cars for the first time. And needless to say, I've been hooked ever since. I wouldn't even be able to tell you what year that would have been.
Yeah. I need to go back as a modified guy though. What was the one track that I missed, I didn't make, was Reading. What was Reading like, and how good was that?
I was probably too young to remember.
Okay. Yeah.
But I loved going there because, I mean, obviously all your big hitters ran there every weekend. Like Kenny Brightbill, Billy Pouch, Don Senior, all those guys, Dave Kelly.
Oh yeah.
Back in the days, it's like, yeah, we used to go there and we had a blast.
Yeah.
I don't remember much about the racing but it was the racing just to get out of the house, I guess.
Well, time with the family, that's for sure. Yeah, that's
Yep.
neat stuff. Yeah, we had I was north of there, up near Binghamton, New York. And the end of the year, 5 Mile Point would have the Southern Tier 100 and the National Quarter Mile Dirt Track Championship. And boy, there was a few years, Jim Kepley and Gerald Chamberlain and then Kenny Brightwell would come up. And oh my gosh, would they just wear our local guys out? I mean, man, that was some great racing. Really cool.
I can remember when we were going there weekly. My favorite driver that I picked on back then was probably Gerald Chamberlain. But now that you brought that up,
yeah,
I don't know. It's just something about him. That's who I picked when we used to go there on Sundays. Gerald Chamberlain was probably my favorite.
He had that
Ford remember of it,
Yeah, that Ford Falcon number 76.
76, yep.
Man, that's some good stuff. That really is. So Calvin, you're obviously a longtime fan, crew member on the 69K. I would dare say your fandom is served well by that team because they don't run full season. And I see you and Jenna going everywhere else. So you guys kind of plan the rest of your life around sprint car racing, it seems like, as well.
Pretty much. Now we have the grandchildren, so we have to work that into the equation as well. So the racing part is really awesome. If I had my way, I would help the 69K when we run, and outside of that, I'd travel to sprint car races. I think the first thing we would like to do when we can both retire is probably do the Outlaw Tour. We've talked about that, and I think that would be like phenomenal for me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That would be my top priority when we get to retire.
We asked for questions from folks on Twitter.
Oh,
and yeah, I know. You saw some of them, and I'm not sure which ones are real questions and which ones are ball busting questions. But we'll go. Dan's ties in really well with what we're doing here. Where did your love for Eldora Speedway come?
I went to Kings Royal for the first time in 1992, and I haven't missed one since. So it's just one of those tracks that probably the track that will always be at the top of my list. I would drive by every other track to go to Eldora any day, any week. If they ran sprint cars there weekly, I'd probably go once a month if I had to.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something about the whole atmosphere there is just amazing.
Do you have your routine where you stop, where you eat, where you stay? Do you have that whole routine when you go to Eldora?
We used to, but not so much anymore. We used to take a couple along with us that he used to want to stop every so often. He used to want to stop and get Bob Evans, and he unfortunately passed away 6-7 years ago now, I want to say. And now we just pretty much go in our merry way. Go
and do your thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Your first Kings Royal was 1992.
1992.
My first Kings Royal was 2021, last year. Now I got 2 in for one weekend. I got 2 in for one day, for God's sake.
Yes, you did. 2 for the price of 1.
2 for the price of 1. And I can tell you, I can understand not missing one. I love Knoxville. I love the Chili Bowl, and I hope no one ever makes me have to pick all of them. But there is something really special about the Kings Royal at Knoxville. I get it when you say that.
Yeah, they're the 2 events as a sprint car fan I think you just can't miss. And up until, I want to say 5 years ago, we didn't go to the Knoxville Nationals every year like we do now. And my wife actually said, we go to all these sprint car races every year. Why don't we go to the Knoxville Nationals every year? I'm like, you tell me, I don't know. So when she brought that up, I'm like, oh, okay, sure. We'll go to the Knoxville Nationals every year. It's like, I hear again, like you said, it's just one of the ones being a sprint car fan you can't miss.
Yeah. You're absolutely
in my opinion,
right.
Sprint car racing, there's 2 races that top the barrel.
Yeah.
Kings Royal and the Knoxville Nationals.
Well, I think you're doing all right on the wife department too. When you got you got married men all over America now. Like, honey, why don't you want to go to the Knoxville Nationals every year?
Yeah, I know, right?
Dude, you married up. That's awesome.
So yeah, when she brought that up, I was like really happy. I'm like, hey, here, twist my arm. You want to start going every year? Sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
So now it also helps that our daughter lives in Minnesota. So when the Knoxville Nationals are running, it's a 3-hour trip to Minnesota. She lives in Minneapolis.
Okay.
So we rent a car for the week, obviously, and then we drive up to her house after the Nationals are over and hang out with them for a couple of days. So that made it an easier decision.
Well, you know what you can do this year? You can just stay up there and do the Jackson Nationals because that's the weekend right after Knoxville.
Yeah, I been to Jackson once, and that place is awesome as well.
Yeah.
That place is great.
Yeah, it really is. Is there a bucket list track that you haven't been to yet in the sprint car world that you want to get to?
Yes. River Cities in North Dakota.
Oh,
The one Johnny Gibson loves.
yeah.
River Cities. That's probably the next track I want to get to that I haven't been to.
Yeah.
The racing there looks phenomenal.
Yeah. I'm California. I'm headed to later this year, September. I think I've got Peter Murphy's place, Hanford and Placerville. Those are two that I'm looking to check off this year.
Never been to those.
Yeah, I've been to Ocean out there. That's the only one I've been to out there is Ocean. I've been to Petaluma also. I saw a 360 race at Petaluma years ago. But I'm looking at the California stuff. But I think you're right. River Cities would be pretty cool as well. Really neat stuff.
We did Chico and Calistoga one year.
Oh,
And let me tell you about Calistoga. Whew, boy, is that place awesome.
yeah.
I love that place. That's probably in my top 5 favorites of all time that I've been to. The mountains in the background and the grapes growing on the fence. It's just that place was awesome. Calistoga was great.
Yeah. There's a petition somewhere out there for someone to rescue that place.
That would.
Yeah. If they do, I'm in. I mean, because you don't know with those places how long they're going to last.
Calistoga is amazing. Yes.
Yeah. I've heard the same thing and had people tell me the same thing.
Yep.
That is awesome. That really is. All right. Let's see what else we got here. There was something else I had on my list. Well, anyhow, I also see on your Twitter, you are a heavy metal fan.
I still listen to rock and roll. Yep.
Okay. So who's your band? Who's your band?
Not heavy metal, but
okay. Who's your band?
Metallica, Ozzy, AC/DC. They're probably my 3 favorites.
Nice.
Disturbed. I like that kind of stuff.
Wow.
But I go back and forth with you every once, so I can still do my 80s and 90s country too. Just like I like that stuff too. But today's country, I don't really care for.
I'm with you on that. That is neat. Yeah. I'm an 80s, 90s country guy. I love all kinds of music, and I love some good rock and roll as well. But
yep.
And you're right up with it. Have you been to many shows? Is concerts your things, or you just strictly stick to racing?
I used to go to a lot of concerts. I've seen Metallica. I want to go one more time. That would make it an even 10.
Wow.
And I've seen a lot over the years, but I haven't been to one lately.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool, man. That is awesome.
Metallica's definitely my favorite, though.
Yeah. Good for you, man. That's awesome. I hope you get that 10th one knocked out. That'd be great.
Yep, I hope so too.
All right, I'm going to get to some of these questions. Like I said, I don't know if they're real questions. You're gonna need, because I know some of the people who have asked them, and I don't trust them because they're sprint car fans. I know they might set you up. I'm going to start with Rich Watts. What is the best thing to put on Scrabble?
For me, it's King Syrup.
Okay, so you are a Scrabble fan or Scrapple fan.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so am I. I like Scrapple. I really do. So yours is cane syrup.
King Syrup. Yep.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, why he asked that about Lance, I think Lance puts ketchup on his, which is absolutely gross.
Wait a minute. We need to investigate this. Okay, we've got all of this stuff going on. Lance is potentially a ketchup on scrapple guy?
Yes, I think he is, and it really grosses me out.
And it grosses you out?
Yes. I can see syrup and maybe jelly, but not ketchup. No.
Yeah, I'm with you on that also. And I don't really like this. I don't like disagreeing with Lance, but I don't know about that ketchup thing.
I'm pretty sure it was him that eats the ketchup on scrapple, but yeah, that's too far.
Yeah. All right. Eric Arnold wants to know, how did you become a helmet nerd? So are you a helmet nerd, and how did you become a helmet nerd?
And that's a great question by him. I don't really know exactly what got me into liking helmets as much as I do. But one thing that makes me think about that question is back in the day when Fred Raymer ran and he had all these top-notch rides and whatnot, I don't think he ever once had a helmet, painted helmet. All his were just plain white. And that's the story I always think about that makes me laugh when I go looking at these helmets now.
Yeah.
Like you look at all the cars he was in, every single one you can imagine. I don't think he ever had a painted helmet. They were all just plain Jane white out of the box, I think.
Well, that'll affect the budget for Fred, so he's not spending the money there. So
yeah, right.
Yeah. So so how did you get started with the helmet game though?
I don't know what got me into the helmets. I starting to go into the pits more, I guess, and just when Donald started not racing as much, we go into the pits and just kind of look around. And now the drivers, they put their helmets up on their roll cage, which I think is really cool. I still get chills when I see some of that stuff, being the helmet guy that I am. And I take 60% of my camera roll on my phone is probably helmets walking through the pits. I get the big races, obviously, Knoxville, Eldora, they all get special, which is one reason we wanted to have the helmet thing at Knoxville last year, which was right up my alley. I absolutely love that. All the drivers coming up and showing their helmets, and that just tickled me pink.
That's awesome. Do you collect helmets yourself, or are you more just a photo taker?
I'm a photo taker, but I have 3 now. The one that Shell Shock made of the 69K for me that Jana had made up for my 50th birthday.
Right.
And I have one that Adam Cruey sent me because we used to give them some money on the side. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't have told you that, but and he gave me one of his older helmets, which I got it, and I had no idea. I opened it up, and Adam Cruey said, "Thank you so much for all you guys do," and this, that. In there was a helmet, an older helmet he gave for me that was just totally awesome. Wow. And not too long ago, I won a raffle for Chase Dietz's helmet that he ran last year, and it was for charity too. So I ended up winning that, which was cool. So I'm up to 3 now, but I'd like to keep growing.
I am not a helmet guy. One of my early memories of doing Wing Nation was, and Kendra was my co-host on the show, and we're at Homestead Miami Speedway, and Kendra is like, "I've got to get this helmet over to Tony Stewart." And I was like, okay, whatever, Well, Tony is a helmet guy. Well, obviously, if you've seen his collection, Tony's like the ultimate helmet guy.
And Joey Saldana, and to name a few more.
Well,
I'm jealous.
Yeah, Tony came out of his bus. Kendra texted him or whatever it is, or the PR person or whatever. He came out of the bus, and she presented him a Kenny Jacobs helmet. And I swore to God his knees were going to buckle. I mean, and I was just like, wow, it's so cool to see that, and especially not a helmet guy, doesn't mean much to me. But to see but with Tony, it was such respect for Kenny. And what it was, I remember what it was. It was one of Kenny's Marquis' birthday. Maybe it was his 50th birthday or something like that. And so Kendra had arranged for Tony to give Kenny one of his helmets. And so Kenny's gift for his birthday was a Tony Stewart helmet. She had to sneak one that he had duplicates out of his collection. That's what it was. I remember that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a couple last year. We did the Knoxville thing. It's like the drivers would come up, and here again, loving sprint car racing like I do, having all the drivers like huddling all around you with their helmets. And it's like, I was just blown away. And it's like, there's like 3 or 4 of them I would have probably spend any kind of money on right then and there. It's like, you probably won't need that after this weekend. I'll buy it from you or something like that. I'm like, so
That
that's,
is
you
awesome.
know, that was like a major event for myself, being the helmet nerd that I am.
Gosh,
I don't know.
You know, now that you mentioned, I've seen pictures on your Twitter and stuff like that, but I didn't put it all together. So I'm glad Eric asked that question. That's really neat.
Yes, I do. I'm glad he did too.
Gosh,
And he was a great help for me last year. He set everything up and made everything happen for me, and I appreciate all his help. And
no
Kendra
doubt.
as well.
Yeah.
Those two helped us through the whole process, which was great.
You want to do that again?
Absolutely, if we can. Yep. I think we're going to try to make that a yearly thing.
Let's keep in touch on that, because we'd like to come over and maybe do a little Wing Nation stuff with that too, because I think that's a cool part, and there's so many helmet people, and you know, so we'll put that on a radar screen for Knoxville. We'll do that.
I would, yeah. I know my wife's up for it, having the helmet, because she enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, people don't realize how much money it costs people to get those things made. James McFadden, he said he painted that for the Knoxville Nationals. He didn't even want to wear it. It was so nice. So how much they pay, I don't really know. It's like, people don't realize how much money is involved in that helmet. Well, we had one painted for Cassidy for last year. I think hers was $1,200. It was all said and done.
Yeah, I remember you guys did that and presented that to her, and I thought at the time that was a really cool gift. And now, understanding your passion for helmets more, I think it's a cooler gift. You know, I mean, I just thought it was neat. Now I think it's really neat. That's awesome.
That guy that did that for her, all she did was told him what color she wanted incorporated, and she wanted gears incorporated in it, because we were getting it done for her.
Yeah.
And that's what he came up with, and I think it's totally amazing.
Gosh, isn't that awesome?
If you never saw it, I'll send you some photos of it.
I saw it when you did it, and I thought it was awesome, but I guess I had an appreciation for it because it was a gift from you to Cassidy. I don't know that I had the depth of the appreciation for it. So I think that's great. Gosh,
we do some things for her. That's why on her 410, well, she had it on her 305. We have our own sticker made up for her cars.
All right.
We think Lance makes enough money. He don't need no help, right?
That's right. There we go. There we go. Well, he'd only spend it on ketchup for a scrapple, for God's sake. So we can't do that.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, son, we got to talk to him about that. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm fairly confident this is just a ball buster question from Bert. What's more miserable, a rubber down surface or being a Flyers fan?
That's a ball buster.
I figured.
I don't think there's anything worse than a rubber down racing surface, in my opinion. So I'll go with the rubber down racing surface.
There we go. Awesome. Rob wants to know, how do you really feel about mufflers?
They suck.
You need to get off the fence on that, Calvin. One way or the other on
that. Next question.
That is awesome. That is so cool. That's the end. That's the last question that I had. That is really, really fun.
Mufflers are probably my least favorite thing in racing.
Wow. There you go.
That might be right up there with rubber down racing surfaces.
Oh, you get a rubber down racetrack with a muffler, you might just as well put ketchup on your scrapple and just get the trifecta, right? Yeah.
That's right. That's right. That would be the end of my racing career.
Oh, no. Say it isn't so. Say it isn't so.
Yeah.
Oh, Calvin, I'm telling you, I'm glad we hung out a little bit here today. I've always, we get to chit chat just a little bit at the racetrack. A lot of the races I get to, you're busy working. So good to just hang out with you. I appreciate you spending a little time pulling off the side of the road after work here on the afternoon, and appreciate you joining us here in the post office.
Well, I'm glad just right then and there, you didn't say I was busy holding up the jack like you did earlier in the show. So
no. I'm not going to say that anymore. You got an expanded role there. I mean, it's good. It's good to see. It really is.
And I'm still waiting for my increase in pay. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Well, good luck with that one.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm not new to racing. Good luck with that one. That's cool.
Maybe you can talk to Donald and work something out for me.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm walking into that negotiation session. I'm not sure. Love you to death, Calvin, but you're on your own on that one.
Yep, I know it, right?
That's good. I appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us here on the Post Office.
I appreciate you having me on, Steve. Take care, buddy.
There we go. Calvin Knapp joining us here on the show. One of the things we talked about when we launched Wing Nation years ago is how that we're all part of Wing Nation. Yes, we all cheer for the drivers and we all respect and love the owners and the crew members and the track operators and the series operators, everyone involved that makes this sport go around. But there's one group of people that we just love and respect the most, and it's really, really neat to get to talk to one of the big fans of sprint car racing, and nobody is a bigger fan than Calvin Knapp, as you can tell. Now, he's landed in a really good spot within the sport, but you could tell he is just a huge sprint car fan. So fans are all such a big part about Wing Nation, and I'm glad we got Calvin's perspective today here on the program. Busy time for sprint car racing, so you can follow along on all of our social media channels. We'll be busy on Twitter. We'll be also on Facebook, on our group, and on our page. A lot of these clips, a lot of these interviews are on our YouTube channel and so much more. So we're glad you joined us here from the Post Office. Again, thanks to Calvin Knapp as well for joining us here this week on the show.